Hello everyone, my name is Priscilla Valdez, and this is my interpersonal communication project for Liberty University Online, HSCO 508, Studies in Interpersonal Communication. Next slide. I will touch bases on each of these topics. What is interpersonal communication? I will define what enlarging the conversation means to me. I will identify what my overarching goals are, describe behavioral blends both positively and negatively, identify any potential barriers, provide solutions to noise pollution, both internal and external, and give my plan of action. Next slide. Interpersonal communication, according to Stewart, is a type of contact that happens between individuals in the process of communicating while listening and speaking to one another. Burley Allen states, communication as a skill is a common enough concept. Next slide. Enlarging the conversation. Previously, I was under the perception that all this involved was a large group of participants. However, today I can state that enlarging the conversation begins by expanding communication needs and incorporating possible resources. Overall, this will show what type of individuals we are and what type of relationships we are able to form with others. Next slide. Overarching goal. My overarching goal is listening and communicating. I will strive to listen at a level 1, which is an empathetic listener, and I fully intend to improve all my listening skills by becoming a mindful listener. Next slide. Stewart identifies 6 qualities of communication. Meaning, which is the process of collaboratively making these meanings. Choice, all communication involves choice, some which we actively consider. Culture, which is ethnicity, gender, age, social class, sexual orientation, and other features that affect communication. Identities, which are all communicating involves negotiating identities or selves. Conversation, which is the most influential communication event. And nexting, the single most important communication skill. Next slide. Burley Allen identifies 3 levels of listening. Level 1, empathetic listening. These are listeners who need to refrain from judging the speaker and should focus on placing themselves in the position of the other individual. Level 2, hearing words, not really listening. These individuals can be categorized as selective hearing. They will only listen to things that are of importance to them. Level 3, listening in spurts. These individuals will tune in and tune out the speaker and will only pay attention to themselves. Next slide. At the beginning of the semester, we participated in 2 different assessments. The first one, interpersonal skills test. This showed that the score I received was 78 out of 100. The results suggest that I'm a type of individual who can interpret other people's words and actions and can see things from their perspective. I also realize that empathy is an essential part of interpersonal skills. Next slide. Our second assessment was on Uniquely You behavioral blend. Graph 1 was titled, What is Expected of Me? I was given the personality type of S. These individuals can be categorized as laid back and easygoing, can be considered shy, and have a fear of speaking in front of large groups. Graph 2, titled, This is Me, gave me a personality type of CSD. These people tend to be passive, can be active and decisive, don't like to be talkative, but do like to have a plan and are prepared more than others. Next slide. Positive behavioral blend aspects for CSD are that I'm able to see the big picture as well as details. I like things to be organized and effective. I follow the rules, and since I have a fear of speaking in public, I prefer to work with individuals and small groups. And I tend to respond better to individuals who have a plan, take their time, are slow and methodical. Next slide. Negative aspects of behavioral blend. I do not like to have people being disappointed in me. I do not respond to individuals who are careless and sloppy. I need to work on being friendly, and I need to overcome my disinterest in public speaking. Next slide. Potential barriers. Physical barriers. These can be categorized as the time of day, where individuals can feel fatigued or have low energy. Burley Allen states it's easier to daydream and become preoccupied when our energy level is low. Fear barriers. These barriers are possible outcomes. They have individuals petrified of what will happen next. Peterson states they don't want to look at what might happen. Next slide. Noise pollution. These are possible disruptions that transpire while participating in a conversation. There are two types: internal and external noises. Next slide. Internal noise pollutions are distractions that we create in our own mind. For example, being selective hearing, only listening to things that we want to hear, and being biased. My solution would be to ask the speaker to restate their statement and make some clarifications. Next slide. External noise pollutions are factors that obstruct our listening. For example, any type of interruption, such as a phone call, loud noises, individuals speaking too fast or too slow. A solution would be to choose an atmosphere where the speaker will not have any type of electronics readily available. Next slide. My plan of action. I need to recall characteristics of interpersonal communication and how they will help me for future conversations. I need to remember what my goals are. By being an individual who's an empathetic listener at a level 1 and a mindful listener, I need to also incorporate the talker listening card, which gives me guidance on who should speak first and when you are allowed or given the go to speak your mind after the speaker has talked. I need to avoid noise pollutions if at all possible by choosing a location that would minimize such pollutions. And I also need to become a listener who does not use judgment on others. Next slide. This concludes my interpersonal communication project, and I would like to say thank you.